behind the smile. Dr. Maya Chen had built her entire life on control, precision, and careful distance. But the moment Sophia walked into her dental practice, with that devastating smile and those impossibly gentle hands, everything Maya had constructed to protect herself began to crumble like ancient walls facing their first storm. Maya was 34 years old and had never allowed herself to want anything she couldn't measure, plan, or sterilize. Her practice was immaculate, her reputation spotless, her personal life a carefully maintained void. She had learned early that wanting led to pain, that opening yourself to another person meant giving them the power to destroy you. And she had sworn after her last relationship ended in spectacular betrayal that she would never again be that vulnerable, that foolish, that human. Her office became her sanctuary, her patients her only connection to the world, and the clinical mask she wore each day became more real than the face underneath. She told herself she was content, told herself that loneliness was just another word for safety, told herself that the ache in her chest at night was simply the price of self-preservation. Then Sophia arrived on a rainy Tuesday morning in March, responding to an ad for a dental assistant that Maya had posted, more out of necessity than desire. Maya had been working alone for 2 years, pushing away anyone who tried to get close enough to help. But the workload had finally become impossible even for someone as stubbornly self-sufficient as she was. Sophia came into the interview dripping wet from the rain, apologizing profusely for being late, her dark curls plastered to her forehead and her eyes bright, with genuine concern about making a bad first impression. She was 28, fresh out of dental assistant school after leaving a career in social work, and she radiated a warmth that made Maya instinctively want to step back. To protect herself from that dangerous kindness, Maya hired her despite every instinct screaming at her not to. And from the very first day, Sophia began to dismantle every defense Maya had spent years constructing. She learned Maya's routines within a week, anticipated her needs before Maya could ask, and brought a gentle humanity to the practice that patients responded to immediately. She remembered their names, their children's names, their fears and their stories, and she treated each person who sat in that chair as if they mattered, as if their comfort and dignity were the most important things in the world. Maya watched her work with a growing sense of something she couldn't name, something that felt dangerously like admiration, like attraction, like the beginning of a fall she might not survive. The first crack in Maya's armor came during a particularly difficult procedure on an elderly patient who was terrified and trembling in the chair. Maya was focused on the technical aspects, her hands steady and sure. But it was Sophia who noticed the woman's distress, who gently took her hand and began talking to her in a soft, soothing voice about her garden and her grandchildren, and the trip to Italy she was planning. Maya felt something shift inside her as she watched. Sophia transformed that woman's fear into trust, witnessed the way Sophia gave of herself so freely, so completely, without counting the cost or protecting her own heart. It was beautiful and terrifying, and Maya realized with a jolt of recognition that she was seeing something she had lost, something she had deliberately killed inside herself because keeping it alive hurt too much. The weeks turned into months, and Maya found herself looking forward to work in a way she never had before, found herself lingering in conversations with Sophia about nothing and everything, found herself noticing small details like the way Sophia tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, or the soft laugh she made when something genuinely delighted her. Maya told herself it was just appreciation for a good employee, just gratitude for competent help. But late at night in her empty apartment, she couldn't lie to herself about the truth. She was falling for Sophia, falling hard and fast and completely, and the knowledge terrified her more than anything in her carefully controlled life ever had. The real trouble started when Maya began noticing the small signs that maybe, impossibly, Sophia might feel something too. The way Sophia's hand would linger just a moment too long when passing instruments, the way her eyes would soften when she looked at Maya, the way she started bringing Maya coffee in the morning exactly the way she liked it without ever being asked. Maya tried to convince herself she was imagining things, projecting her own desperate longing onto innocent gestures, but the tension between them grew thick and electric, filling the small office with an energy that made it hard for Maya to breathe. hard to focus, hard to maintain the professional distance that had always been her shield. Everything came to a head on a Friday evening, when they were the last ones in the office, finishing up paperwork after a long day. The spring sun was setting outside, painting the room in gold and amber light, and Sophia was standing at the window looking out at the city, her silhouette achingly beautiful against the dying light. Maya was watching her, had been watching her for months, and suddenly she couldn't bear the distance between them anymore, couldn't bear the weight of all the things she wasn't saying, wasn't allowing herself to feel. She stood up, her heart hammering in her chest like it was trying to break free, and she walked over to where Sophia stood. Sophia turned as Maya approached, and there was something in her eyes that made Maya's breath catch, something open and vulnerable and achingly hopeful. Maya opened her mouth to say something safe, something professional, but what came out instead was the truth she had been hiding from herself for months. She told Sophia that she had never felt this way before, that she was terrified and overwhelmed and completely out of her depth, that she had spent so long protecting herself that she had forgotten how to be brave enough to want something, to want someone, to risk the devastating possibility of rejection and loss. Her voice was shaking, her hands were trembling, and she felt more exposed than she had in years, felt like she was standing naked in front of Sophia with every scar and wound visible for judgment. Sophia's response was to step forward and take Maya's shaking hands in her own, and the simple gesture of that touch, the warmth and steadiness of it, nearly undid Maya completely. Sophia told her that she had been falling for Maya since the first week, that she saw past the cold professional exterior to the wounded, lonely woman underneath, that she recognized in Maya a kindred spirit who had learned to hide her heart to protect it. She told Maya that she had been waiting, hoping, praying that Maya would let her in, that she would take the risk of being seen and known and loved despite all the ways the world had taught her not to. Trust that kind of vulnerability. They stood there in the fading light, hands clasped, hearts open, and Maya felt something inside her that had been frozen for years finally begin to thaw. She had spent so long being afraid, so long protecting herself from the possibility of pain, that she had forgotten that joy and love and connection required the same vulnerability, the same courage, the same willingness to risk everything for something that mattered. Sophia was offering her that chance, offering her a hand to hold in the darkness, and Maya realized that she had a choice. She could step back into her familiar loneliness, back into the safety of her carefully controlled isolation, or she could step forward into the terrifying unknown of letting someone love her, of loving someone in return. Maya chose to step forward. Their first kiss was tentative and sweet and tasted like tears, like years of loneliness finally ending, like coming home to a place Maya hadn't known she was searching for. Sophia's hands came up to cup Maya's face with such gentleness that Maya felt something break open inside her, felt all the walls and defenses she had built come crashing down, and instead of the devastation she had always feared, she felt only relief, only gratitude, only the overwhelming rightness of finally allowing herself to feel, to want, to hope. The months that followed were a revelation. Maya learned what it meant to share her life with someone, to let someone see her at her worst and her best, to trust that Sophia wouldn't use her vulnerabilities as weapons the way others had. They kept their relationship private at work, professional and respectful, but in the quiet moments between patients, their eyes would meet and Maya would feel that warm surge of joy that still surprised her, still seemed too good to be real. Sophia moved into Maya's apartment, bringing light and laughter in the messy, beautiful chaos of shared life, and Maya discovered that the control she had clung to so desperately was nothing compared to the wild, uncontrollable joy of loving someone and being loved in return. There were challenges, of course, moments when Maya's old fears would surface and she would start to pull away, start to build those walls back up. But Sophia had the patience of someone who understood that healing wasn't linear, that trust broken by past wounds took time to rebuild. She would wait out Maya's moments of panic with steady, unwavering presence, would gently remind her that she wasn't going anywhere, that love didn't always end in betrayal and abandonment. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, Maya learned to believe her. They told the staff about their relationship after 6 months, nervous about how it would be received. But their team responded with warmth and support that made Maya realize how much she had missed by keeping everyone at arm's length for so long. The practice thrived under their joint care, became known not just for excellent dental work, but for the genuine compassion and humanity that Sophia had brought and that Maya had finally allowed herself to embrace. If this story has touched your heart in any way, if you've ever been afraid to let someone in, if you believe that love is worth the risk of pain, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose. Courage over fear, connection over safety, love over loneliness. Your support helps spread these stories of hope and healing to others who need them. On their 1-year anniversary, Sophia took Maya back to that same office window where everything had changed, where Maya had finally found the courage to speak her truth. The city stretched out below them, millions of lives being lived, millions of stories unfolding. And Maya thought about how easily she could have missed this, how close she had come to letting fear win, to spending her whole life hiding behind walls and calling it wisdom. She looked at Sophia, at this incredible woman who had seen past her defenses and loved her anyway, and she felt overwhelming gratitude for that rainy Tuesday when Sophia had walked into her life and everything had changed. If you've ever had someone who saw the real you behind all your armor and loved what they found there, if you've ever been that person for someone else, please leave a comment below sharing your story. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Maya learned that the bravest thing she ever did wasn't building those walls to protect herself. It was tearing them down to let Sophia in. She learned that the smile she wore for patients every day had been hollow until Sophia taught her what it felt like to smile from genuine joy, from real connection, from the deep peace of being known and loved and accepted exactly as she was. Behind every professional smile, every careful facade, every protective barrier we build, there is a human heart that longs to be seen, to be held, to be loved without condition or reservation. Maya's story wasn't about finding someone to complete her. It was about finding someone who made her brave enough to complete herself, to become whole, to embrace all the messy, complicated, beautiful parts of being human that she had tried so hard to hide. And as she stood there with Sophia's hand in hers, looking out at the city where they would build their life together, Maya finally understood that the greatest risk wasn't in loving someone. It was in never allowing yourself to try, in choosing the safety of loneliness over the terrifying, exhilarating, absolutely worth it adventure of opening your heart to another human being and seeing what kind of magic you could create together. Sometimes the person who saves you isn't the one who rescues you from danger, but the one who loves you into believing that you're worth saving in the first place.